Welcome everyone to Nats Beck and Carton Network's Tech Ability. My name's Neil Beck and I'm hosting today. We'll give it another few minutes and then we'll get started, just in case anyone's just coming in. As the session carries on, if you're having any problems hearing or seeing, then just drop me a message. And if you've got any questions along the way, feel free to ask them, or we'll have some Q&As at the end. You can just do that by the message button. There's a chat button at the bottom there. Okay, still got a few more coming in, so welcome. Just give a few more minutes just in case anyone else is coming in. Okay, there we go. I think we'll get started. And if anyone else is still coming in, then we can just refer them to the link and they can catch up. So welcome to the first of 4 webinars on Microsoft accessibility. Today's going to be on OneNote and learning tools, and we're very lucky to be hosting Arran Smith today, who is Microsoft's UK SEND and dyslexia consultant. So I'm going to hand over to him. As I said, any questions, feel free to message in the chat box. Thank you very much.
That's brilliant. Thank you, Neil. Are you going to swap the screens over?
Yeah, you are.
That's fine. I'm just going to select which screen. There you go. So just confirm you can see the screen says empowering every person.
Yeah, that looks good to me.
That's brilliant. Thank you very much. Thank you, Neil. That's most appreciated. So welcome everyone to this webinar. Today I'm going to concentrate on OneNote and learning tools. But what I'll do with every webinar is I'll just start with our a bit of an opening, just so you understand where I'm coming from. So as Neil said, I'm the UK's Dyslexia and SEND consultant at Microsoft, and I've worked for Microsoft just over a year now. And the big thing that I always start with whenever I'm talking is the Microsoft mission. This mission was set by Satya Nadella back in about 4 years ago. So at Microsoft, our mission is to empower every person in every organization on the planet to achieve more. It's a very powerful mission we have, and a very important one, and especially when it comes to accessibility. Now, accessibility starts really from the top. It does. It starts with Satya Nadella himself, and when he made this Twitter post, I saw it and I thought, I'm going to have that straight away. I'm going to have that at the beginning of my talk, because I think it just shows how much we are there to support those students and them adults and everyone with a difference to support with accessibility. So Microsoft has accessibility is a priority at Microsoft. We focus on designing and building products that our customers love and that are accessible for everyone and are built in for each of us. And I think that's a really good comment to make at the beginning. Now, from Satya Nadella, these are some key people within Microsoft that are all about accessibility. And just to get a flavour, so we have a Chief Accessibility Officer, which is Jenny Leigh-Fleury. Jenny is deaf herself, so she is very much a person that understands what it's like to be part of that disability community, and she's very passionate. She sets that policy, that standard of accessibility internally and externally. She has Hector. Hector is the European Accessibility Manager. His role, or Accessibility Lead, his role is to set that standard across Europe, so the UK and Europe. We also have Mike Tholson, which isn't a very good picture of him, but that's Mike Tholson. Mike Tholson is actually the Principal Product Manager for OneNote Education, and he is responsible for Inclusive Classroom, as well as all the learning tools, and along with the word has just gone off my head, and I remember it in 30 seconds when my dyslexia comes out. It includes a class notebook as well. Now, this person is me, of course. Now, none of you can see me, but that's a picture of me. Just a little bit about me. As I said, my name's Arran Smith. I've got 15 years experience of working within the dyslexia field. I am severely dyslexic myself. I'm 34 years old. I have a reading age of a 9-year-old, a spelling age of an 8-year-old. And I really understand that actually how technology can change people's lives. I'm a user of assistive technology. I've been using assistive technology for over the past 10 years and have worked with many companies in the field of assistive technology, and my biggest client, of course, is Microsoft at the moment. I do about 15 days a month with them around the country and supporting them. So one of the big things now about Microsoft is this concept we have, this 1 billion people. So what we say within the world in the world, there's 1 billion people that have a disability, have a difference. So they need accessibility. And Microsoft is really focused on that. So remember that mission I read at the very beginning. At Microsoft, our mission is to empower every person on the planet to achieve more. We go on and say, with more than 1 billion people in the world with a disability, there is no limits to what these people can achieve when technology reflects the device the way they use it. And that's so true. For me, as a severe dyslexic, I use technology every day. But have a 30-second think about when you last used a cash machine, when you last used a sat-nav, when you last used a digital assistant, when you last used a piece of technology you would think, actually, I wouldn't have used this 5 years ago. And I think that's the concept around assistive technology and around technology. And really what Microsoft is doing is looking at that concept, and we're looking across the whole piece. We're not just looking at one thing, we're making sure that we're looking at it all. And this is where it comes down to this. And basically that we're looking at learning for dyslexia, dysgraphia, dyscalculia, visual. We're looking at low vision and blind and colorblind. And some of these things I will cover in other sessions. Hard of hearing and deaf with hearing, mobility, physical, muscular, and so forth, and amplification. Looking at neurodiversity with autism, ADHD, ADD, and seizures. Mental health with anxiety, depression, and OCD. I think that really shows that actually Microsoft is doing a lot more. When if you're coming to all 4 of the webinars I'm doing, one of them I will just mention about mobility, probably on the last one actually, when we talk about Microsoft and mainly the tools within Windows 10, but we will talk a little bit about the Xbox controller in that talk as well. So that way I will really show you how that is. So just a flavor for something that's coming up in the future one. But today we want to talk about learning tools. We're going to talk about learning tools and OneNote and how OneNote works. And the first thing I want to talk about is the concept behind this. So every year we have this concept, and that's probably not the right word. We have an activity called 1 week. 1 week is the kickoff week within Microsoft. And within that week, we have the opportunity for members of Microsoft's team to work together on what they call a hackathon. Now, the hackathon has been going for over 4 years now. And when it started, we had 1 or 2 hacks around disability. In 2014, we had a hackathon all about people with physical disability, and in 2015, we had the hackathon about learning tools. Now, what this means is people come together from different departments. So for this hackathon around OneNote, we had Mike Tholson, who is passionate around OneNote and also passionate around learning, and he had a little bit of knowledge around dyslexia. Came together with other members of teams, but one of the big things that they didn't have, they had the knowledge around things like spacing and fonts and background colors. They didn't have engineers, where Mike had engineers. Mike is predominantly an engineer. That's what he's worked on for most of his life. They came together and they thought, let's support these students with dyslexia, and they hacked in a plugin called Learning Tools, and this allowed to do certain things. This allowed us to create a readable scape, a readable tool to ensure that we can support them dyslexic. So I'm going to demo that in a second. But I just want to show you this video. Now hopefully you're going to be able to hear it pretty well. I'm going to try and do it. I'm going to take off my headphones and put it near my speaker so you should be able to hear it. If not, I will send the link so you can watch this at a later date.
The true purpose of education is to create possibility.
It was a little hard for me. People laugh whenever I read sometimes. Well, they knew how to read, and I didn't. I will never be good at reading. I will probably be held back again. It highlights the words that know where I am. When it's reading, I see spaces between the words, and it's easy to focus on. The first time I actually could read that book, I was proud of myself. I was very proud of myself. Good job, Julie.
When technology and education come together, possibility becomes reality.
I want to read every book in here.
That's just a video that came out when we actually first started Learning Tools, and that was a really useful video to actually just give you a flavour of what it starts with. So what has actually disappeared from my presentation, which I didn't realise, is what OneNote is. So for those who don't know what OneNote is our digital workspace, it's our digital workbook. So the concept behind this is it is literally a workbook. It is a cloud-based product. It sits in the cloud. It sits in your OneDrive, and it allows you to access it on any device in any location. So really good for those dyslexic learners, because they are very, very like me. And when I was at school, I went through about 4 or 5 exercise books in one subject because I kept losing it. But this allows us to actually communicate, collaborate. It has an amazing feature for what we call Class Notebook, and Class Notebook allows us to deploy literally an exercise book to our classes. So it's a very useful tool. But then we've added these features in. So we've added this Learning Tools tool built into it. And this is now across Office, and I will show you this at the end of the webinar where it is. But built into it, we have Immersive Reader, which has text-to-speech with synchronized highlighting, some literacy aids, and some visual stress aids. We also have within Immersive Reader real-time translation, picture dictionary, math-to-speech, or maths-to-speech, and dictation. So what does this mean? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you. So I'm just going to now bring in a OneNote notebook that I've got open here. So one of the big things I want to talk about is that I'm going to show you here that you can actually access this across the ecosystem of Office 365 and Windows 10. Now I'm using the Windows 10 application. This is the application that is part of Windows 10. It's on every device. You can access this in 2 ways. One way is through an Office 365 account, which your colleges have access to for free, or through a Microsoft account. So if you want to do this personally, you can access it through a Microsoft account. It will still work. And the only one feature that will not be there, the difference is dictation. Dictation is only available in Office 365. So what I've done is I've got this piece of text. Now, as I said, a digital workbook is very much like a ring binder concept. We have our dividers down the left-hand side there. We have our pages, and we also then have our content. Now, this is pretty accessible anyway in some senses. We can change background colors. We can do some changes to our pages. We can add videos in it. We can add audio. We can add links into it. We can add PDFs into it. We can have pictures, symbols, stickers, and maths. We can also have our research bar that comes up as well to add research in and add stuff into it. So if we are looking for certain stuff, we can bring this in. But one of the big things about this is if we wanted to read this content, so if you'd set this content as a lecturer, as a tutor, we may want to read this into more detail. So one of the things we're going to do is we're going to go into the View tab. So View is in for looking, View is in for seeing, View is in for reading, Immersive Reader. Some of the context there around that. So I'm going to go into this Immersive Reader concept, and what you're going to see straight away that we're going to change the view. Now you can see there it's changed the view quite a lot. What I'm just going to do, I'm just going to turn some of these features off so you can see exactly what it looks like. If you went into it the first time, this is how it will look. As you can see there, I've got spacing in my text. That is the only thing that's really turned on. On top, and that is turned on here, on and off. I can change the size of my font, so I can go back to like really small, or I can go to quite big. That makes it a little bit easier for my students to read. I've got a couple of fonts to play with, so I'm going to use Comic Sans because Comic Sans is a little bit more dyslexia friendly because of the A's and the G's. My themes are colours, so I've got coloured backgrounds here, so I can go with a real cream colour, go with a blue, purple, a pinky, whichever colour you feel you need for your students or your students need for themselves, because this is personal. As you notice, when I loaded this up, it automatically went back to how I had it set before, and that's a very important concept, is that it will always go back to the way that it's set up for. And that's a very useful thing to remember for telling your students that if you set it up how you want it, when you go back in, it will be there. It doesn't carry over to different products. It only stays in the product you're in. So if you're using the Windows 10 app, which is the version I'm using, then you can actually then see it there. So one of the things I'm going to do now is I'm going to go into this, what we call grammar options. Now, the big thing we can do with this is, again, helping reading, we can do splitting of words. We can do syllabication or syllables. So we can break up words. So like, there go landforms in this word here. We've got landforms here. So that's now landforms. We've split that word up. We have done. And of course, we can do other things. So we can turn it on and off. The really clever thing we can do is we can now pick out our nouns that I've turned on there. I've turned on, and I can also change color. Let's put them as blue because that's a bit easier. I can do verbs, I can do adjectives, and I can do adverbs. And if I want to, I can show the labels. That's quite a lot of labels. So let's just turn some of these off so you can see the labels a bit easier. So you can see there's the ends there, and that's because that is designed to support all types of students, and especially those with colour blindness as well. So you don't have to just use the colours. But then, if we are thinking of using a way of actually matching this, and we're talking to colleges, but what we do say to our primary school colleagues is that actually they can match it to their colours of their school. So it's something that you may not use within your environment, but it is a feature that's very useful for someone like me that is severely dyslexic. I'm not really sure what an adjective, an adverb, or a verb is. I know what a noun is, a naming word, but the rest I'm not 100% sure of. Now we've got some other features I want to show you. So what I've done here is I've got this focus line option, so I can focus into one line. Now I can just use my arrow keys, or I can use this arrow, and I can read it along myself. I can do. But what I can also do is I can make that a little bit wider. So now we're thinking about our students with a little bit of problems with their sight. It may be that they are distracted easily, so maybe an ADHD student. This may be a concept for them that may be very useful because we can focus into what they need to read. This is very useful. And also what we can also do is turn that on and off. So I've also seen I've got Picture Dictionary turned on. Some of this feature you may not use, but it is a really useful feature for that communication difficulty. So if you've got students that need that help with communication, we can do that. So I can click on Chord, or I can click on Geography, or Earth, or Landform. Landform hasn't got one. Forms has got one there. Mountains and valleys. So again, very useful concept is there. So what I can do now is I'm just turning Picture Dictionary off. I'm just going to show you very what we can do. So we can play the text.
The study of Earth's landforms is called physical geography.
So as you saw there, it was going along. Let's just try from this bit here.
High landforms could be mountains and valleys. They can also be glaciers or rivers.
So you can see there that it was doing synchronized highlighting with text to speech. We have the option here to make it faster.
Landforms are sometimes called physical features.
Or we have the option to slow it down.
It is important for students to know about the...
And so you can see that. When I have Picture Dictionary turned on, what you'll see is actually I can read out single words. And it's going to go the speed that we've set it. Let's set it back at 1, which is quite good. So I can click on landforms. So again, a very useful concept. But now let's think about our students, and let's think about English as an additional language and what we can do with this. So built in here, we have this brand new feature that only came out 3 weeks ago, which is called translation. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to let's use, I'm looking for the one that I want to use, Spanish, Spain. I can do it by word. So again, if I look at the word landform, or
formas terrestres.
That's in Spanish. So I've got now words in there. So let's look, geography, and that's geography. Read it again.
Geografía.
Again, we can use that there. Now what I can do is I could put the whole document into it. So now the whole document is in Spanish. You can see at the top here I have original and Spanish, and I can now play it in Spanish.
El estudio de las formas terrestres de la Tierra se denomina geografía física. Las formas de la Tierra de Ola pueden ser montañas y valles.
With Spanish, we also have Picture Dictionary as well. So not everyone has Picture Dictionary. So not all of the words have Picture Dictionary. That's the first time I've looked in Spanish, but I'm just showing you there what it looks like. So not every language has Picture Dictionary, but lots of languages do have them. But if I wanted to, I could put it into there. that's into Chinese in China. That's from China. Let's go to Czech. That's in Czech. But again, you see, so there's no picture dictionary in there because you can see that because we're not there yet with it. And what you'll find is some of the features there. So we can do syllabication in that one, but we can't do parts of speech. But in some of these, we can do parts of speech. So not every word we can do it, but some of them we can. So we are getting to that point when we can do parts of speech and syllabication for them. So if I do the whole document again, we can have a look here. Again, syllabication doesn't work, and there's certain words, of course, within Arabic that doesn't work. So again, we can really use this to its full advantage. So think about how you could actually use that with students and so forth.
The study valley.
Sorry, I pressed the wrong button. So one of the things that people say to me, how can I put it into English? So at the moment that's American English. What you can do is you can go into Word and state the language. So I can actually state the language in Word and actually put it in English. I just wanted to talk very briefly about maths, just to show you the maths function. So I've got here maths problems here, and again I can go into the Immersive Reader. The maths problems will come up in the same colours.
X plus y equals 10. 1, 3 equals b sub minus to the minus 10. Integral of square root of b sub minus to the 1.
So you can see there that it's actually very quite complicated maths. That's not the best maths concept that I've got there, but you can see that actually that it really is a useful way of actually doing things. Again, a very useful concept. And again, as I said to you, that if you do use Office 365 and you're going into to like the web page concept, and my computer's just decided to really slow down again, of course, whenever I want to demo something. So I'm just going to log in on a different screen because it's now, of course, this always happens whenever you don't want it to. So I'm just going to go into here. I'll just bring this into here. One second. Here it is. There it is there. So again, if I go into OneDrive here, that's where my class notebook is. It's my computer being normally playing around. So if I go into, let's go into my actual, this is my St. David's College one, so this is my school class book. So again, I can go into here. And what I'm going to do is, while that loads, I'm just going to go into here and take some content for you. I'm going to use the same content I had. I'm going to copy this and minimize it. Oh, and I've already done it. I've already got the demo stuff in there. So again, I can go, this is me online now on OneNote. I go back into the View tab and I have the Immersive Reader button there. And again, it's going to go into that. It's going to do exactly the same thing again. It's going to allow me to do it. Now, of course, I've set it for this because that's what I did last time. Again, same changes. Same concepts here. I can do translation again. I can do picture dictionary as well. One of the big things I want to show you and just say to you, if you look just here at the bottom here, you can see here it says reading Windows mixed reality at the bottom here. So one of the things we are trialing, and it's purely a beta. It's not it's a public beta, so people can trial it. If you do have a Windows mixed reality or a Windows VR headset, you will then be able to run this in VR. You won't be able to do any of this changing here. You will only be able to do the read and look and doing, like if you were in the view, if you were in this view, you'd be able to do that in VR. So that's just a new feature that's coming. It's only available through Edge. You have to have it connected through Edge and it will work through Edge. So that's just one of the features there that's coming to it. I'll just show you now, just before I finish this video, I'm going to show you just about a minute of this video, and then I'll be open to take some questions.
I'm Jenny Anderson Johnson.
And Ben Johnson.
We have 3 kids, Alden, Gavin, and Carrick.
My name is Carrick and I'm in 2nd grade. My favorite things in the world is bees, snakes, and gardening.
We definitely knew there was a problem because, you know, he just was not being able to read with us as much as the other kids were.
Sometimes I was embarrassed because I didn't know how to read.
He had dyslexia. Initially, it was that kind of feeling of shame that really made me feel sad.
My teacher was like, who wants to read first? For the whole entire year, I said, not me.
So So you start wondering, what you're doing wrong. And then there's a little bit of panic that sets in.
One day when we were learning, my friend came next to me and said, I know how you can do this. Just click on that button, and it said Immersive Reader, and I clicked on it, and I was just focused, my eyes were focused into it. I can say it to you, like that, or I could show you a picture.
The awesome thing about Immersive Reader, it was just there. It was just an icon click away.
I think that it's allowed him to have more confidence that he can do more.
It makes me feel good, and my life is more easier.
And that's just a really good thing. The video is a lot longer than that, but I think that last bit makes me feel good and makes my life feel easier. And that's because Learning Tools is a life-changing experience. It really has changed a lot of students' lives. If you think back from 2016 when we started this project and it was just hacked in, that's now part of the ecosystem. And that's really true. And it shows you here that all these features, so all the features that I've read out, and I've missed off one of them, which is, I didn't really talk about dictation that's built in there, but it is built in. But that is all the features like the color changes, the line allowance, the syllables, part of speech. They're not just in OneNote, which we've been talking about today. You can see where it's all in OneNote, including OneNote for Mac. It's also going across all these. So it's in Teams, it's in Flipgrid, it's in Office Lens, it's in the Edge browser. These are all amazing contexts that are all part of it. One thing here that I think you should really take away is that if you really want to get involved and understand our inclusive classroom approach, is go to aka.ms/inclusiveultimate. This is a link that has got so many links on it. It's literally, it is one page bringing together everything to do with our Microsoft accessibility concept. So this is a really useful place to go to. So, and the concept of this is all about building that foundation for success. It's bringing together our teachers, improving time, improving outcomes. It's making sure that we're growing. So it's ensuring them students to grow and gain independence, become independent learners, teachers to be more encouraged and empowered to do more, and create and build that inclusive, positive, and equal promotion of inclusive classroom, inclusive schools. I've kind of stuck to my time limit. I could have spent an extra 2 or 3 minutes here and there, but I think that hopefully I've gave you an overview of it. I'm happy to take some questions now, and hopefully you've got something out of it. You've got a little bit of a brief understanding there of OneNote. You can take that away, use that within your environment. Have a play around with the class notebook. Haven't really touched on that much, but there is links that I can send out to talk about that. Follow me on Twitter by all means to reach out. I'm going to hand back to Neil to manage some questions. Over to you, Neil.
Great, thank you, Aaron. That was really interesting. I'm excited to see how much language support there is there. We're involved in a few European projects at the moment, and having screen readers in different languages is a very useful thing.
It is, and it's very new. It is. So it's like we are literally it came out the week before BET, so the second week in January. It was announced back in October last year. The downside is what we call the rollout process. The UK is normally about 3 months behind when they've announced it, but they did stop the rollout over Christmas just because they don't roll stuff out over Christmas. So, but actually it did land in the UK just in time because that was one of our big announcements at BET to show that it was live. So I really like that.
Okay.
And one of the other things is just to quickly mention is I know I showed you this within the OneNote app. We've got dictation, but dictation, which is on the home screen here, it is also available online in OneNote Online. So that's just a new thing that came out, and that's fully rolled out. That was confirmed last week. It was fully rolled out.
Great. Yeah, that was another tool that we're very excited about. I know a lot of our students that we've worked with benefit from that. I'd be interested in if anyone else has any questions, if there's anything that they're particularly excited to use. I suppose my question is there anything else in the kind of pipeline that we can expect for Microsoft OneNote?
So the big thing was VR. That was the new thing that's only just come out. I've known about it for about 5 months and I couldn't talk about it. I think that there is some interesting things coming out. Being very careful what I say because of my because of my NDA. But I think that they could say cone of silence, ring of trust. Things to do with reading is definitely something on the cards. And I think that's probably as bad. So the concept of reading and reading stuff is going to be there. The concept of literacy as well is going to come into it. So new things are coming. We'll see out what comes out. I'm hoping that one of the features that I've seen is coming out sooner rather than later than I can talk about, because I'm quite excited about that. So yeah, maybe what we should do is in 3 months' time we should do these all again, because there's going to be loads more features coming out.
Yeah, that sounds good. We do have another 3 webinars coming up, so you can view those on the NatSpec Techability webpage if you haven't got an email already. I'll just see if I can pop those up on my screen for a second. And there we
go. Try and change presenters and then you should be able to show them.
Yeah, that's it.
One of the things that I get very, I do really like questions, and about questions about anything, I don't mind. I like people to ask me questions.
Yeah, that's good. I know I've made use of that already, haven't I?
Yeah.
So here we go. If I just share my screen, and I'll see if I can get the dates up. Okay. So this is our contact details at Techability, my email there, my Twitter, and our webinar channel. So what we're going to do today is we've recorded this webinar, so we'll put it live onto our channel, and the other ones we will as well. And then if I go to events, these are the details of upcoming events. So on the 12th of February, we've got Microsoft Accessibility, Microsoft Word. Then we're going to look at Office 365 online, and then finally exploring Windows 10 on the 5th of March. So yeah, thank you very much, Arran. And if there's
not a problem. So you, by all means, follow me on Twitter if anyone wants to ask me anything, and I look forward to seeing you on our next 3 webinars we're going to talk about.
Okay, great. We have got a question.
Okay, brilliant.
Yeah, we've got one from Arnel Madalora. She said, hi, is there any possibility that these features will be available from any smartphones?
So they're not available on a smartphone, but they are available on the iPad. So on the iPad, on the iPad version of OneNote, it is available. I think that ultimately with a Microsoft concept, so the Microsoft's the way we are is like cloud first, mobile first. Mm-hmm. So we will be looking at that, actually, that we will be bringing these to mobile. I don't know when. We have got, there's other products like Office Lens that have got some of this stuff in that is available. So Office Lens is a very good app you can download, and then you've got things like Seeing AI as well. There's another app that's for the Office Lens is for both iOS and Android. Seeing AI is only for iOS, so only for iPhone. But that's the thing. They're definitely coming to iPad. We're more tablet based because we see that actually more people create content on a tablet rather than on a phone. It's more for reading content on a phone or doing a very quick note or a quick, like, adding up 5 things on a spreadsheet rather than actually doing it. So I think that's where it'll be. I can definitely say that I will see it in the future. It would probably come. It will be there, but I would say it won't. It's not in the roadmap that I've seen.
Yeah, great, thank you. And just to say to the asker of the question, yeah, feel free to drop us an email if there is anything you're struggling with technology-wise, and if Arran comes up with anything, then we can send that your way, or if there's other ways we can help, then we will. Great, and I think we'll finish there.
That's brilliant. Not a problem. All right, and Neil, thank you very much, and I will see you on our next webinar, which is next week, isn't it?
Great, thank you, Arran, and thanks everyone for attending.
That's fine. Take care. Cheers. Bye-bye.